What would you do if someone judged your worth based on nothing but your clothes? For one undercover CEO, the answer changed everything. The dealership doors swung open, and a man stepped inside. He was quiet, dressed in a simple polo shirt and worn jeans. To anyone watching, he looked like just another customer, maybe a middle-class worker looking for a modest car. No one would have guessed that this man, Elijah Daniels, was the CEO of the entire dealership chain. Elijah wasn't there for publicity or a management review. He had gone undercover, blending into the crowd to see firsthand how customers were treated at one of his flagship locations in Austin, Texas. His success wasn't handed to him. He built his empire brick by brick, fueled by hard work and integrity. But he also knew that success could hide cracks in the foundation, and today, he wanted to see those cracks up close. As he scanned the brightly lit showroom, sales staff hurried past him, chatting animatedly with well-dressed customers. No one stopped to greet him. Elijah didn't mind. In fact, he preferred it. He wanted the unfiltered experience. A gray sedan caught his eye, practical, reliable, and completely different from the luxury cars he usually drove. He smiled faintly. Today, he wasn't the CEO. Today, he was just Elijah. But as he approached the counter to finalize the paperwork, something made his stomach tighten. Behind him, the customers started a conversation that made his blood run cold. Their words weren't just casual remarks. They carried prejudice, ignorance, and entitlement. They had no idea the man they were judging stood just feet away. Elijah wasn't ready to react just yet. He needed to hear more before deciding his next move. Elijah Daniels was no stranger to whispers of doubt or subtle discrimination. Growing up in Birmingham, Alabama, he learned early that success wasn't handed to people like him. His parents, both teachers, had instilled resilience and fairness in him, values that carried him through decades of hard work, eventually making him a self-made multimillionaire and one of the most respected business leaders in the country. Yet, despite all his achievements, he knew the world hadn't changed as much as he'd hoped. He'd heard countless stories from customers, employees, and even friends, stories about unspoken biases and the way people were treated based on assumptions rather than reality. That's what had brought him here today. He didn't want reports or second-hand accounts. He wanted to see for himself what was happening on the front lines of his business. The decision to go undercover was personal. He stripped away all signs of his success: the tailored suits, the luxury watch, even the custom car he usually drove to meetings. Instead, he parked a modest rental a block away, ensuring he wouldn't draw attention. Walking into the dealership, he felt a pang of nostalgia. It reminded him of his early days in the car business, selling cars straight off the lot, earning commissions by listening carefully to customers' needs. Back then, it was about building trust, not pushing quotas. But now, staring at the sleek, polished showroom, Elijah wondered if that trust had been replaced by something else entirely. He quickly noticed the staff's priorities. A group of salespeople stood near the front desk, chatting among themselves. Their glances skimmed over him and landed instead on a well-dressed couple admiring a luxury SUV. Elijah shrugged it off. He wasn't here for special treatment. He was here for the truth, and the truth had a way of revealing itself when you least expected it. As Elijah moved toward the gray sedan, a young salesman briefly glanced his way, but quickly turned his attention to a man in a tailored suit admiring a convertible. He paused, pretending to inspect the sedan while observing the dynamics around him. The showroom buzzed with small conversations, sales pitches, and the hum of printers spitting out contracts. Laughter echoed from employees gathered near the coffee machine. It didn't take long to notice the hierarchy in play. Customers who looked like they could spend big were prioritized. Those in casual attire, like him, were largely ignored unless they actively sought help. That went against everything Elijah had built his business on. Every customer mattered, no matter their appearance or budget. Finally, a salesperson approached him. A young woman in her 20s with an overly rehearsed smile. "Looking for something specific today?" she asked, polite but uninterested. Elijah casually responded, saying he wanted to purchase the sedan. Their interaction was brief, transactional. No upsell, no questions about his needs, no effort to build rapport. As she walked away to process his paperwork, Elijah's attention shifted to the voices behind him. To customers, a man and a woman stood a few feet away, speaking in hushed tones that were still loud enough to hear. She probably can't even afford it, the man smirked. But they'll run her credit, and she'd be out of here in 5 minutes, the woman added, laughing softly. You know how it is. Some people just like to play pretend. Elijah's stomach tightened. At first, he thought they were talking about someone else. But their subtle glances in his direction made it clear they meant him. Their words weren't just rude. They were laced with assumptions about his worth based on his appearance. But Elijah didn't react, not yet. He remained still, letting their words sink in. Would silence be the right response, or was it time to confront them head-on? Elijah turned slowly, his movement deliberate. The man and woman froze, their smiles faltering. "Excuse me," Elijah said, his voice calm but firm. "Were you talking about me?" The man blinked, caught off guard. "Oh no, just general talk." The woman fidgeted with her purse strap. "We didn't mean anything by it, just joking around." Elijah stepped closer, his tone steady. Funny how those jokes always seem to be at someone else's expense. The man shifted uncomfortably. "Look, buddy, we didn't mean any harm. You're taking this the wrong way." Elijah held his gaze. "No harm. What if someone judged you by your appearance? Would you call that harmless?" The dealership grew silent. Employees and customers turned their attention to the exchange. The woman tried to laugh it off. It was just talk. Elijah's expression softened, but his words carried weight. "It's not just a big deal for me. It's a big deal for the next person you judge. You don't know me, my story, or what I'm capable of. But that shouldn't matter. Every person deserves respect." The man muttered, "Fine, we're sorry." Elijah nodded. "Apologies are a start, but will you do better next time?" By the time Elijah finalized the paperwork, the atmosphere in the dealership had shifted. Employees whispered, and even the manager had stepped out of his office, piecing together what had happened. Elijah requested a private conversation with the manager, sharing his observations without revealing his identity until the very end. "I'm Elijah Daniels, the CEO of this company." The manager's face drained of color. "Mr. Daniels, I had no idea." "That's the point," Elijah replied. "I came here as a regular customer. And while there's a lot to be proud of, there's also a lot that needs to change." Before leaving, Elijah recorded a voice memo for his executive team. "We need to revisit our customer service training. Every customer deserves to feel valued no matter what they look like or what they're buying." As he drove home, he knew this wasn't just about one dealership. It was about shaping a culture of respect one small step at a time. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe to Unfolded Tales Explained and press the bell icon for more thought-provoking stories.